Hello, I'm Shelley Duvall, but you can call me Dan Gordon. I'm here with Matt McCormick and Horatiu Zglimbea, and today we're going to be discussing Robert Zemeckis' 1994 classic, Forrest Gump.
Do you know Robert? Are you allowed to call him Robert?
Yeah.
Everyone at home, could you just put your fingers in your ears for a second?
1 second, give us some time here.
When you contradict what I say on camera, it makes me look really stupid. So.
He's not happy.
You do that very well by yourself, Daniel. Or Shelley. Which one do I call you?
Okay. All right, everyone at home, take your fingers out of your ears, because you're going to want to hear this next part. Theme song! Welcome back to The Take. As I said in the intro, today we're going to be discussing Forrest Gump. Here's the synopsis from IMDb. Forrest Gump, while not intelligent, has accidentally been present at many historic moments, but his true love, Jenny Curran, eludes him. Did I say that right?
Yeah, eludes.
Curran?
Curran?
Anyway, here's a clip. Let's take a look.
Hello. My name's Forrest Gump. Do you want a chocolate? I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
Wow, wasn't that lovely? I'm going to give Horatiu Zglimbea 30 seconds to give his initial impressions on the movie. Go.
Well, it is a classic, and I've loved the movie. I've seen it so many times. Every Easter I watched it, which is weird. Romanian Easter, not American Easter. It's a little bit different. It's like a different calendar that we run by. It's like usually a month or like 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks after Forrest Gump. Not Forrest Gump, after American Easter, but it's really good. It's a classic movie, really long, really sad, and a lot of different things happen, and I like how it goes through history.
Very good. You got in under the timer. Matt McCormick, go!
I like this movie. I've liked this movie since the first time I saw it. I like this movie every time I've seen it. At first, when I was a little haterade of a child, I didn't like Forrest Gump, but that's because I just didn't like anything. But it's a great movie, and I feel like everyone should see it. And if you haven't seen it, we have issues, which brings us to Dan. Why we are doing this show today.
Yes.
Upon several times of hanging out with Dan here, I would go, Lieutenant Dan, ice cream, and he wouldn't get what I was referencing. And through that, we had discovered that Daniel has not seen Forrest Gump. So I'm more intrigued to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, I do. I need a bit of need to preface my review here because I'm a film student in my 4th year. I've seen over 1,000 movies, and this is my first time seeing Forrest Gump, even though it was released during my birth year, and it was the #1 movie at the box office the day I was born.
And it won Best Picture for that year as well.
Yeah, that's true, and there's a lot of bullshit Oscar buzz surrounding this movie. Like, it beat out Pulp Fiction, it beat out Shawshank, and there are people doing horrible impressions all the time. So I was predisposed to really hating this movie going in, and I gotta say, I absolutely loved it.
Well,
Yeah.
look at that.
I found, is it manipulative? Yeah. Is it melodramatic? Sure. But I was genuinely
words.
invested in the story, thanks to Tom Hanks' performance. He carries this movie on his back.
Yes, he does.
I'd agree with that 100% of the way.
But as this is the no spin zone, this is the take. We tackle the hard questions.
What is the no spin zone?
It's Bill O'Reilly. Once again, apologize to Fox News for use of your copyright. I'm sorry. Don't sue us. Just go yell at Trump or something.
It's Dan Gordon
H.A. Zglim.
at oakland.edu.
That's who you want to send any of your cease and desist requests to. Not for the show, just for that dig, though.
So anyway, I'm going to be playing devil's advocate here. I'm gonna throw some hardball questions at you guys about this movie.
Are they ping pong balls?
Ooh. Ooh.
Eh.
See what I did there?
Ooh. Okay, gotta keep your eye on the ball.
In Ben Stiller's 2008 comedy, Tropic Thunder, Robert Downey Jr.'s character is talking about a movie that Ben Stiller's character was in where he played a mentally challenged person.
You went full retard, man.
And he talks about how the Academy goes in for those types of movies. Those movies often get a lot of accolades, a lot of awards, and they're sometimes borderline exploitative. Like, I'm thinking like I Am Sam, Radio. They're not like approaching this subject matter
Nicely,
I hear what you're
politically
saying,
correct.
but I feel like it's not Oscar baity. Because those movies all focus on the disability and the person dealing with it and them overcoming the obstacles because of that. This movie just follows Forrest Gump. And the fact that he's slower doesn't necessarily play into the fact, other than the Jenny stuff, but the majority of the movie is just him experiencing and seeing this lovable doof go through all these crazy historical events. So I don't think that it is baity in that sense, like in the I Am Sam or what have you.
I do think that it is slightly an Oscar grabby type movie. I think it's a great story, and I love Forrest Gump. I just think that you can't go wrong with these movies, and I think the producers and the director who is making this movie went in there with that idea. No matter what we do, because this character is like this, and because he was portrayed so well by Tom Hanks, that not many people are going to bag on it, if that makes sense. So I know that it feels like they couldn't go wrong with that unless they portrayed Forrest Gump in a very negative light.
And I'd like to point out that the only time that he acknowledges that he has any problems is at the end when he finds out he's got a kid.
Yeah, yeah. Tom Hanks' performance again is what really makes this movie, because I found a lot of the times he plays it so earnest that I was laughing with Forrest, not at Forrest. Mm-hmm. And this movie works for me on a dramatic level in the same vein as Rain Man, that's not like an accurate representation of what autism is, but that movie works dramatically for me because it's about a story about two brothers that it's about Tom Cruise's character reconciling the fact that his brother's never going to change. And so that works just, as a character piece. And this movie works as seeing America in a very confusing time through the lens of naive innocence, and Forrest is kind of just a vessel for that.
Yeah.
Agreed. Did you practice?
I rehearsed in front
You
of the
son
mirror.
of a You didn't tell us we could practice.
Well,
You didn't tell us we could practice.
Well, next I'd like to talk about the technical aspects of the film, specifically the gumping scenes where they insert Forrest Gump into historical footage. Did these hold up, or are they laughably bad at this point?
They are laughably bad at this point. I watched it last night, right before this show, and I was blown away at the beginning when I first saw it when I was a wee lad, and even as I grew up through the years, I was like, wow, this is incredible. But yes, now compared to the CG animation of this day and age of the 2010s, it doesn't compare. The mouths are just
There are
laughable.
two scenes in particular that do it for me. And it's the John Lennon scene.
Oh, yep.
That lip dub is so bad.
Very bad.
And two, it may not seem that important, but when he's running in Vietnam and the explosions are going off behind him, you can definitely see the composite
That was the
around
worst
him.
one.
Yeah, those two things. The other ones, they're obvious that it's been manipulated, but it's not too bad. Those two for me don't hold up at all.
Yeah, there was stuff that I didn't notice on my first 17 watch throughs that I notice now, and it's because we're old and crotchety
And horrible.
and we can't appreciate stuff anymore.
What's magic?
What is magic? Harry Schmatter.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, but luckily the movie gets by on other strengths. That's kind of just...
Yeah, it's
That's,
definitely
people
a
were talking about that at the
small-
time, I feel, but...
At the time,
People were freaking out.
freaking out.
Yeah.
They're like, man, they shot this over the years. Tom Hanks has not aged a bit.
The one thing I will say about the historical sequences, though, is the film starts to feel a little episodic, like a little plug and chug. Maybe the writing felt a little too easy. I'm just gonna hit these beats. I'm gonna hit Watergate. Like it started to feel a little lazy at a certain point.
I thought that was one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
I think Matt was saying it when we were talking about it like 2 weeks ago. That you go ahead.
Every part of that movie works as its own individual movie. Like that Vietnam sequence could be its movie in itself. Some kid meeting Elvis and like teaching him the dance, that's a movie in itself. Running across the country for 2 years is a movie in itself. Like
Vignette or whatever.
yeah, each one of these little vignettes, they that's the best way to put it. Is you get 20 movies in a movie, you know?
Yeah, it is a long movie, but they do pack it. There's so many like visual motifs, narrative motifs. It's well made. I'll give you that. But the one time it was just flat out offensive was when he wipes his face and the smiley face is on the muddy shirt. I was like, come on, how
You were
lazy?
offended by that?
Yeah.
That was kind of
You guys have thin skin.
Well, we'll get back to the deeper ideological messages of Forrest Gump right after this pee break.
Commercial.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
Welcome back to The Take. Now, a common criticism about this movie is that Forrest goes through life just listening to authority figures, doing as he's told, and he's rewarded for it. And Jenny, she's punished for being a free spirit. So, what do you think about that? Is this an unhealthy message to send our children?
I don't think it's an unhealthy message at all, because I don't think it was necessarily a message that they were trying to point out. I think it was just a kind of faux documentary on the times, you know? Like when Jenny, she went through all the, like you said, the free-spirited periods in history, you know? She was part of the hippie movement. She was doing drugs and, you know, part of the Black Panthers, you know, all the, you know, speak your mind and stuff. And I think that it's just simply just that's what happened to her. That's what happened to so many kids and men and women during that time. They followed that path, and that's where they ended up.
It's the yin to Forrest's yang. It's the best way to put it, because Forrest is essentially like the nice guy, and he goes through all of the stuff that we remember, but Jenny kind of symbolizes the tone of the era.
Right, so Forrest goes through all the big historical
Yeah,
events.
like what everyone remembers from the 60s and 70s in that time period, Forrest was there, front and center. But what everyone like feels what happened, Jenny has to experience, because it was not like a great time in American history. It was quite dark.
I don't know. I found it problematic that mostly because Jenny's character was so two-dimensional. Like, we don't really get what's going on in her head. And she comes off kind of as uncaring and cruel towards Forrest as a result. And I wish there'd been more balance there.
Yeah, I see your point, but I feel like it's very realistic in the sense that if you were to have somebody in your life like that, that is a way that a lot of people would handle them. They wouldn't have them front and center in their life because, you know, they're off doing different things, but they still are nice and they still are obviously pleasant and, you know. Let's just say this. I don't think that there's any message that Forrest Gump was trying to get through. You know, I think, like Matt was saying, it's just simply a yin to the yang. You know, Forrest just stayed the course and followed the, you know, basically what American history shows, and Jenny is just following what American public felt during that time.
Exactly. Like, Forrest isn't going to go hang out with a bunch of Black Panthers, go to a disco party, and then almost kill himself off of a ledge from doing too much cocaine.
Yeah.
Like, that's not Forrest Gump's character, but those are all things that were
Part of America.
And in that time especially.
But we try not to remember that stuff.
The moment that really got me was when Forrest Gump's at Jenny's grave, and he says, "I don't know if we have a destiny or if we're just floating around accidentally on a breeze. Maybe it's both at the same time." Which I found that both poignant and meaningless. But
Is that how you say that?
poignant.
Poignant
I thought
or
it was
poignant?
I think the G
Poignant.
is
Is
silent.
G silent?
G is definitely
Is it
silent.
silent?
Tweet us if the G is silent or not.
Hashtag the take.
Hashtag Mailfern.
OUTV. Hashtag Mailfern.
Hashtag
We're
Mailfern.
doing this now. This means hashtag.
What do you guys think? Do we have a destiny, or is life meaningless?
Wow, we're getting really existential here. Is there a God? Was Jesus real? No,
No and no.
I just think that it's just a good question, and I don't think there's an answer. I think it's just a question that Forrest Gump leaves with the audience. And I feel like back then, in the 90s and before the 90s, there wasn't a lot of everything was pretty straightforward. The movie ended, and you knew what the message was. If there was a message, you knew what it stood for. But Forrest Gump was really cool because, it leaves that nugget in your brain.
Nihilistic.
Yes. Is that how you say that?
Nihilistic.
Oh my God.
Nihilistic. Is the H silent?
It's nihilism, so it's not.
But anyway, so yeah, I just, I think it was
It's nihilistic,
cool.
but it's also hopeful, which is it's a very interesting tone. That's
It'll
kind
bring
of
you
what I
down
enjoyed
and then
most about
pick
the
you right
movie.
back up.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like it's dealing with very heavy subject matter, but it's funny. The humor worked for me.
The humor was great.
See, I'm really glad that you saw this as a comedy your first time seeing it, because most people see it as a straight drama the first time. And oh, it's got some comedic bits, but I feel like it's way more of a comedy than it is a drama.
Dramedy.
So should this have beat Pulp Fiction at the Oscars?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Dan, you're biased. You can't answer this question or react because you love Quentin Tarantino. Just kidding. But,
What about Shawshank?
Yes.
Okay.
well,
Yes.
I don't know. Shawshank was
Yes.
awesome.
Because this movie not only historically goes through all the time, goes through an entire time period, but it's also technically perfect. Like, I can't find any continuity errors throughout the thing. I feel like technically it's just above and beyond everything else that came out that year, like Pulp Fiction. Yeah, it's a great movie. Does it hold up in the context
Look
of...
at the legacies, though. How many
But when I'm
Tarantino-
looking at Tarantino's legacies, I'm not thinking Pulp Fiction. I'm thinking Inglourious Bastards. I'm thinking Django Unchained. I'm thinking Reservoir Dogs. Pulp Fiction's there, but I feel like when it came out in '94, it was so avant-garde that it took everybody by surprise.
Is that how you pronounce that?
Oh yeah, that's exactly how I pronounce that. But Forrest Gump is the more traditionally, it's a better movie. That's the best way to put it. Pulp Fiction's a great film. This is a way better movie.
Yeah, but Shawshank had America's Sweetheart in it.
It doesn't matter. This is
Morgan Freeman.
Excellent point. We're going to throw out a commercial, but when we come back, we're going to eat a box of chocolates and do the mail fern. Commercial!
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds. Stop the texts. Stop the wrecks. Visit us at stoptextstoprex.org.
Welcome back to The Take. Now, boys, we have a mail fern here
Men.
and a box of chocolates.
Oh.
So,
Hershey's Pot of Gold.
Now, see,
Sponsorship.
unlike, hold on, I'd like to point out that unlike what Forrest says, you know what you're gonna get because there's a handy-dandy guide. In
I
each
know,
box
they've
of
changed
chocolates.
it. It's
well,
so
this isn't a
ridiculous.
variety pack. This is all pecan caramel
Oh, so we
clusters.
know
Oh,
from
so
the
we know
get-go.
exactly what we're
Yeah, it
gonna
doesn't
get.
really work with the metaphor of the movie, but as you know, opening the mail fern is a very prestigious thing to do.
It is.
What?
Prestigious. That is how you pronounce
All
that.
right, just making sure.
Now, we're going to have a little contest to see who can fit the most pecan clusters in their mouth in 30 seconds. And whoever wins gets to open the mail fern.
Do we have to play this game?
Yeah.
Producers, can we take an edit break to find out?
Okay. We're back from the edit break, and it turns out they do have to do the challenge. Ready, boys? Go! One for Horatiu, two for Horatiu, two for Matt. Four for Matt. All right, what are you on, Matt? I lost track. Four. Keep going, keep going. How many, Matt? Keep going. You got 30 seconds. Come on, Horatiu. You got plenty of time. Make some room in there. You're never gonna catch up at this rate. Keep going. All right, Matt gets it by a landslide. I lost track. I don't know how many that was. Get a close-up on that, please.
That's how many I put in my mouth. I put 1, 2, 3. I put 10.
Give me one of those that wasn't in.
Those 3. I put 10 in.
Wow.
We're gonna take an edit break so we can eat.
I don't want to eat these.
We'll be back after this.
Are we back, Dan?
We're back.
Oh my God! You know what that means? It's time for, don't you? Mailford. We have 4 letters today.
Four
Four
viewers.
letters today, and we took the letters, and so this one is for me. This one is for Daniel. This one is for Horatiu.
That's not how you spell my name.
And this one's an all play, which we're stealing from the game Seen It.
Me first?
Well, since you're gonna make a big fuss, yes.
Is it Beauty Before Age?
It's Beauty for Age. I on Facebook asked the question if anyone had any questions for our mail fern, and these are your responses to the question of if you have any questions for Forrest
I don't
Gump.
get mail often.
He really doesn't.
Okay. Oh, it's typed out. Our great viewer, Emma Farms. Emma, thanks for watching. Was Jenny, in your opinion, just a gold digging? Emma, the answer is a solid maybe.
That's what I mean though about her character being two-dimensional. Is like you get people who see her like that in that light because
This is not the only question
She's not
about
fleshed
Jenny
out.
that we got, because I got, is Jenny a skis and like people were making, no one likes Jenny, and I feel like
that proves my point that she needed more screen time.
she may have needed more screen time, but maybe her character needed a little more development, because what you're seeing is only her in her like scared, vulnerable moments where anyone will pretty much do anything.
Yeah, but this movie was called Forrest Gump, not
Yeah.
not Jenny Curran.
No, but
if we followed a movie about Jenny Curran, then we'd see that her intentions were probably not starting off as being a skeezy or a gold digging. Beep beep beep. You know, all that. You know, it's. I don't think that that's where we would have seen that.
Well, final answer.
Emma is she's a gold digger.
No, but she's underwritten for sure.
Definitely underwritten.
Maybe.
Probably.
Maybe a gold digging.
Dan, do you want to go or should I go?
You won the chocolate challenge, so I think you should.
I'll go next.
Oh, shouldn't he have gone first?
No,
won the
I got to
chocolate
defer to you because I won the chocolate challenge.
It's true.
Because I'm more beautiful. We've already decided.
You're not. Okay. Dear the Take, our viewer John Farms would like to know, how many miles total did Forrest run in the entire film? I already did the math, and I met with John on another occasion to kind of like get an idea of what he meant by his question. And he said the entire film, from the moment that he breaks his magical shoes to where Jenny is put underground. And so we had a little bit of a discussion because there are a lot of scenes with a lot of running that you don't necessarily get an idea of how long he ran. So we had come to the conclusion that for the Vietnam sequence, he had ran about 1.5 miles.
Back and forth, picking up people, dodging explosions. Outside of that, through the Vietnam sequence, but before the running sequence even, you have him running all over the place. You got him running up to the house, on the road, Jenny's house, football, the end bit where he runs to the apartment. So we figured that was in total about 3 miles of that running, of seeing him running that. Now here's where it gets weird. From when Forrest runs from Greenbow, he runs to Santa Monica. And then he runs to the East Coast from Santa Monica twice. So he goes across the country twice. But in other parts of the movie, he's talking about seeing northern Wyoming and seeing all these other things around the country. So he didn't just go back and forth, he went around the country twice. So Forrest Gump, in total in the movie, Forrest Gump ran
15,253 miles.
Wow. I didn't know that we were allowed to meet with the people that wrote.
Well, I
us
needed some
letters.
clarification. I needed some clarification on the question, so I got some clarification on the question.
I would have done a lot more homework for my question if I would have gotten it ahead of time.
Well, you know,
I could have come up with a very more articulate answer.
Could you have?
About whether or not Jenny was a.
All right, well, that was a pretty definitive answer from Matt. So I'm going to go ahead and crack this baby. Oh.
Uh-oh.
Dear the Take, Anthony Stewart wants to know, who was the uncredited voice of Elvis Presley?
I thought that was Elvis.
No, it was not Elvis. Elvis
I actually
is
looked
dead.
this up.
Did you? Who is it?
Kurt Russell, none other than
Kurt Russell.
Snake Plissken himself.
I had no idea.
Don't lie to me.
Is it really Kurt Russell?
It is.
Wow.
Wow. Got it.
Hey guys, I got some news for you. What is this?
We don't know.
This is an all play.
We didn't talk about it beforehand.
No,
You're
we
the
did
only
not.
one that knows.
I am.
Just springing stuff on us
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's how I roll. Oh God. Speed this up in post, please.
All right, and for the all-play question.
Dear the Take, our viewer and friend Kelsey Kobolaric would like to know, why do people even like Forrest Gump?
Kelsey, rewind the show about 20 minutes and watch the review.
we just went over
This
it.
is
It's
ridiculous.
really a cinematic classic of the 90s and of the mid-90s, pretty much of the modern era, I'd say.
How do you not like Forrest Gump?
Tom Hanks' best performance by far.
Oh, really?
I would say so.
Where does this rank with Tom Hanks' performances for both of you? Like, what's...
Well, I feel like
Give me your
this-
top 3.
This was his top 3. Gosh. Well, I liked Castaway. That was
Another
good.
Zemeckis film?
Well, it looks like him and Tom have a little love affair. Cut that.
This is, I think, his most actory performance.
This is definitely his standout role. I mean, he'd been in other things, but I think this was his defining moment, you know? He had been in like 80s movies and stuff like that, but I think this one was one of his defining roles, the defining role. And I actually saw this movie called Lady Killers on Netflix like
Coen Brothers.
a month ago. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
I think
He won the Oscar for this, and the previous year he won it for Philadelphia.
I forgot about
Big
it.
2 years
See?
for Tom Hanks.
He's just been in everything. I said Morgan Freeman was America's sweetheart. It's Tom Hanks.
But really,
I did read a survey that he's America's favorite actor.
I feel like people like
Why not?
Tom Hanks more than just because he's a good actor, and I feel like people love Forrest Gump for more reasons than just Tom Hanks.
So Kelsey, obviously you're totally off base, and don't even try to front when it comes to Forrest Gump. We don't even want you as a viewer. Turn this off.
Yeah.
Bye
Bye.
now. We'll give you 5 seconds.
Bye.
We'll give you your ad revenue back.
To round off the show, what are you guys going to give this out of 5 whatevers?
I'm gonna give it 5 out of 5 Dr. Peppers.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I will go with my Netflix rating, but I'll add a little bit more. I'll give it 4.5 Lieutenant Dan's. You know what to do with the graphic.
Ooh.
And I will give it 4 out of 5 shrimp cakes. Have you been to Bubba Gump Shrimp?
No, but what kind of shrimp do they have at Bubba Gump Shrimp?
I've never
shrimp
been.
Stew,
Where's the nearest one?
shrimp on the. I
Shrimp on
forget.
the Barbie. There's barbecue shrimp. There's
Yeah.
shrimp scampi.
Lots of shrimp.
Oh, no, let's
can
figure
have
it out.
shrimp
There's shrimp on a
burgers.
skewer, shrimp burger,
Yeah.
chicken and shrimp.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the time we have
Just keep going.
this month
What else?
on the
is there?
take. But next month, join us. We're going to be reviewing Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Fried shrimp.
It's going to be a hoot.
Did you say
Coconut
deep
shrimp.
fried
Shrimp.
shrimp?
Shrimp.
Got it.
What else kind of shrimp is there? There's Wait, bring us back in focus. Next week we're gonna do Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Yeah, I already said that.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
You guys are
Maybe-
busy talking about shrimp.
Maybe you should let Dan host the show.
I just wanted to make
Back
sure.
to waving. Blur us out again.